Welcome to our UhOhConsequences, where people don't just ruin their lives. They grab a shovel, rent a spotlight, invite witnesses, and then act shocked when everyone sees the hole. This story is about a man who managed to destroy his marriage in less than 24 hours. Not through years of betrayal, not through some dramatic double life with secret apartments, burner phones, and a suspicious amount of business trips. No, this man did it with one Reddit post, one fragile ego, and the emotional survival instincts of a moth flying directly into a bug zapper. And before this gets worse, because it absolutely does, go ahead and decide right now, at what exact moment does a marriage really die? When someone cheats, when someone lies, when someone humiliates their partner in public, or when they reveal, casually and confidently, that they've been the villain in the story the whole time. Because Daniel, our genius of the day, was about to find out that consequences do not always knock politely. Sometimes they kick the door open, take the dogs, and leave a note on the kitchen table. Daniel was 34 years old. His wife, Emily, was 33. They had been married for almost 9 years and together for nearly 12. From the outside, they looked stable. Not movie perfect. Not we finish each other's sentences while baking sourdough perfect. But solid, normal, functional. They had a nice little house in a quiet neighborhood. Two dogs named Moose and Daisy, and the kind of life where problems were usually things like, did you pay the electric bill? Or why is there one spoon in the sink when the dishwasher is empty? In other words, marriage. Actual marriage. Not the shiny brochure version. The real one, with socks on the floor and emotional negotiations over takeout. Emily worked in healthcare administration. She was practical, organized, and tired in the specific way adults get tired when they carry most of the invisible work. And nobody claps for them. Daniel worked in sales. He was charming when he wanted to be, funny when the room was on his side, and deeply allergic to being seen as ordinary. That last detail matters, because Daniel had recently decided that his life was boring, not bad, not abusive, not miserable. Boring. And when a grown man with a comfortable life says he feels bored, someone should immediately take away his phone, his car keys, and access to podcasts hosted by divorced men in expensive chairs. Daniel started saying things like, I just feel like I missed out, and I don't know who I am anymore, and marriage changes people, which are all perfectly valid feelings if you process them through conversation, reflection, therapy, journaling, or literally anything other than using the internet as a confessional booth with a comments section. But Daniel didn't want reflection. Daniel wanted applause. He wanted strangers to tell him he was brave, misunderstood, a trapped soul, a romantic prisoner locked inside a suburban life with matching bath towels. So, one night, while Emily was asleep upstairs after a 12-hour workday, Daniel sat in the living room with a glass of whiskey, opened Reddit, and wrote the post that would detonate his marriage with the elegance of a raccoon chewing through electrical wires. The title was, I feel like I wasted my youth getting married young. Is it wrong to want to explore other options? Beautiful. Elegant. A red flag wearing cologne. In the post, Daniel explained that he loved his wife, obviously, because people always say obviously, before explaining why their behavior suggests the exact opposite. He said Emily was a good person, a great partner, loyal, smart, kind, but then came the little knife. He said she had changed. He said their relationship felt predictable. He said intimacy was not as exciting as it used to be. He said he sometimes wondered what it would be like to date again, to experience passion again, to feel wanted again, and then, because apparently he wanted to garnish the disaster, he wrote, I don't want to hurt her, but I feel like I deserve to know what else is out there before I get to old. At 34. Someone get this man a blanket and a museum placard. The comments came in fast, because Reddit can smell emotional gasoline from 6 subreddits away. Some people gave actual decent advice to talk to your wife, go to therapy, do not blow up your marriage, because you're bored, you're romanticizing single life. Grass is greener where you water it. And then, of course, came the other crowd, the little chaos goblins of the internet, crawling out from under the digital furniture. You only live once. Maybe you got married too early. You deserve happiness. Open the marriage. Take a break. Don't stay trapped just because society says you should. And Daniel, naturally, ignored every comment that required accountability and responded only to the ones that made him feel like the lead character in a tragic indie film. He wrote that Emily had become focused on routine. He wrote that she didn't make him feel desired enough. He wrote that sometimes he looked at younger couples and felt jealous of their freedom. And then someone asked the obvious question, have you told your wife any of this? Daniel replied, not directly. I don't want to crush her there. It is the noble coward's anthem. I don't want to crush her, says the man publicly workshopping his escape plan with strangers. Because apparently emotional honesty would be cruel. But describing your wife as a boring obstacle to your personal awakening in a public forum is just self-care with Wi-Fi. But here's where the universe, tired and underpaid, decided to intervene. Emily used Reddit too, not heavily, not obsessively. She wasn't spending her evenings arguing about slow cookers or asking strangers if her neighbor's wind chimes were a hate crime. But she had an account. She read posts sometimes, mostly relationship drama, medical stories, and dog rescue updates. And Daniel knew that, which makes this next part even more incredible. He posted enough identifying details that anyone with half a brain and a dim flashlight could connect the dots. Their ages, their marriage length, their two dogs, his job, her job, a specific argument they had recently had about him wanting to go on a solo weekend trip. That Emily thought felt weirdly sudden. He didn't use her name. Wow. Master spy. Unfortunately, one of Emily's friends saw the post, and this friend, being the kind of person every betrayed spouse deserves, did not sit there sipping tea while the house burned. She screenshotted the post and sent it to Emily with one message. Is this Daniel? Imagine being Emily. You're on your lunch break. You're probably eating something sad from a plastic container because adults call that meal prep. Instead of defeat with vegetables, your phone buzzes. You open a message, and there, served cold on a screen, is your marriage being discussed by strangers like a defective. Appliance. Emily read the post. Then, she read his comments. All of them, every little self-pitying sentence. Every complaint he had never said to her face, every place where he painted himself as a man quietly suffering under the terrible oppression of having a loyal wife, a stable home, and she didn't cry. At least not right away. That's the part people underestimate. Sometimes betrayal does not arrive as a scream. Sometimes it arrives as sudden clarity, cold, silent, surgical. Emily made a new account. She found the thread, and she commented, Hi Daniel, I'm Emily. I think we should talk when I get home. That was it. One sentence. No profanity. No public meltdown. No dramatic paragraph. Just a clean little guillotine dropping in the middle of his fantasy, and Reddit lost its mind. People started replying immediately. Oh, nitrogen monoxide. Bro, the wife found IT. This is no longer advice. This is evidence. Someone archived this. Daniel vanished from the thread for almost 20 minutes, which, in internet time, is long enough to assume someone either died, threw their phone into a lake, or began sweating through furniture. Then he came back and replied, Emily, this isn't what it looks like. Double quotes, sir. And is written down by you, under a title you chose. There's no ancient code to decode here. This is not a misunderstood cave painting. This is your own nonsense wearing a name tag. Emily did not respond again, and that silence was louder than every comment in the thread. Daniel deleted the post about 10 minutes later, which, of course, accomplished nothing because screenshots exist, archives exist, and more importantly, Emily had already seen enough. Now, here comes the first hook inside the disaster. Daniel still thought he could talk his way out of it. That is the confidence of a man who has spent too much of his life being forgiven. Before he fully understood what he did wrong, when Emily came home that evening, Daniel was waiting in the kitchen. Not with flowers, not with an apology prepared, not with a therapist's number, no. He was standing there with the posture of a man who had decided he was both defendant and judge. Emily walked in, set her bag down, took off her shoes, and looked at him. Moose and Daisy ran to greet her. Because the dogs, unlike Daniel, still had emotional intelligence, Daniel started immediately. He said it was just a vent. He said he didn't mean it the way it sounded. He said Reddit exaggerates everything. He said he had been feeling confused. He said he didn't want to hurt her. Emily listened. No interruptions. No yelling. No tears. That calm made him nervous, so he kept talking, naturally, because when a man is in a hole, the best strategy is apparently to install an elevator going down. He said marriage had become routine. He said he missed excitement. He said he felt like he had given up a part of himself. Emily finally asked, What part? Daniel blinked. What part of yourself did you give up? He didn't have an answer, because there was no answer. He had not given up a dream career for her. He had not moved across the world for her. He had not sacrificed some grand calling. He had simply gotten married, aged normally, and discovered that long-term love does not always feel like a movie trailer. So he pivoted. He said he felt and wanted. Emily nodded slowly and asked, Have you tried wanting me? Or did you just wait for me to perform excitement for both of us? And there it was, the first real crack, because Emily was not stupid. She knew things had been quieter between them. She knew they were tired. She knew they had fallen into patterns. But she also knew she had tried. She had suggested date nights. Daniel said he was too tired. She had suggested a weekend away. Daniel said it was too expensive. She had bought lingerie once, months earlier. And Daniel had laughed awkwardly because he was in the middle of watching a game. But now, online, he was the neglected one. Amazing how some people can trip over every invitation to reconnect and then complain they were abandoned in the hallway. Emily asked him directly, Do you want to be married to me? Daniel said, Yes. Too fast. She asked, Do you want to date other people? He hesitated, and that hesitation walked into the room, sat at the table, poured itself a drink, and ruined everything. Emily said nothing. Daniel rubbed his face and said, I don't know. Maybe I just want to know what it would feel like to be free. Double quotes, free. There it was. The word every selfish person uses when responsibility starts feeling itchy. Emily repeated it. Free. Daniel tried to soften it. I mean emotionally. Not free from you. Just free in general. That sentence should be studied in a lab. Not free from you. Just free in general. Like marriage was not the problem, just the wife-shaped portion of it. Emily asked, So what do you want? Daniel said, I want us. But I also don't want to feel trapped. And Emily laughed. Not loudly. Not happily. Just once. A small, exhausted laugh. The kind that happens when your brain refuses to process one more ounce of foolishness without making a sound, she said. You want the marriage to stay here while you go. See if something better is waiting. Daniel said that was unfair. Of course he did. It's always unfair when someone summarizes your behavior accurately. He told her she was making him sound like a villain. Emily replied, no, you did that yourself. Then she went upstairs. Daniel followed. Because apparently the evening had not suffered enough, he asked if they could talk more. She said no. He asked if she was seriously going to shut down. She said, I'm going to pack a bag. That sentence finally got through. Daniel panicked. He started apologizing, but not in the useful way. Not, I betrayed your trust. Not, I humiliated you. Not, I should have come to you first. No, he apologized that she had to find out like that. That is not the same thing. That's like setting someone's car on fire and saying, I'm sorry you noticed smoke. Emily packed quietly, a few clothes, her laptop, chargers, medication, important documents. Daniel asked where she was going. She said, to my sister's. He said, you're overreacting, and there it is. The emergency flare of doomed men everywhere. When the person you hurt reacts. Call it an overreaction. Works never, but they keep trying it. Emily stopped packing and looked at him. Daniel, you asked strangers if you should explore other women before you got too old. You described me like I'm furniture you're tired of owning. You let people tell you to leave me before you even had the decency to talk to me. And now you think the problem is my reaction. Daniel opened his mouth, closed it, for once. A miracle. She left that night. With both dogs. Daniel objected to that part. Naturally. He said, you can't just take them. Emily said, watch me, and she did. Now, if Daniel had used the next 12 hours wisely, maybe the story would have been ugly, but repairable. He could have written a real apology. He could have called the therapist. He could have deleted his account and spent the night understanding why his wife felt betrayed. Instead, Daniel chose the worst possible option. He went back to Reddit, not the same post. No, that would be too obvious. And Daniel was now a tactical genius after being caught by a username and the dog names. He made another post in a different subreddit. Title, my wife found a private vent post and left with our dogs. How do I make her see she's overreacting? Ladies and gentlemen, the sequel nobody asked for. He explained the situation badly. He said he had posted anonymously about normal marital doubts. He said Emily had invaded his privacy by reading the post, which is a fascinating interpretation of a public forum. That's like taping your diary to a billboard and accusing pedestrians of snooping. He said she took the dogs to punish him. He said she refused to hear his side. He said he loved her but felt emotionally unsafe now that she had reacted so strongly. Emotionally unsafe. The man publicly auditioned replacements for his wife and then claimed danger when she packed pajamas. The comments did not go the way he expected. All people tore him apart. One person wrote, you didn't vent privately. You held a town hall meeting about whether your wife was still worth keeping. Another said, you are not upset that she left. You are upset that she found out before you could control the story. Another comment simply read, congratulations. You speed her in divorce. Daniel argued because of course he did. He said people were missing nuance. Reddit loves nuance. Daniel, that was not the issue. The issue was that your nuance looked suspiciously like wanting permission to cheat without calling it cheating. Then someone found the original screenshots and posted them in the comments. Now the second thread had context. The mask fell off so hard it probably dented the floor. People started quoting his own words back to him too. Old, explore other options, deserve to know what else is out there. Emily doesn't make me feel alive. By midnight, Daniel deleted that post again, accomplishing nothing. At this point, Emily's phone had already started buzzing because people from their real life were hearing whispers. Not because Emily announced it. She had not posted anything publicly. But Daniel had told one friend his side, and that friend told his girlfriend. And the girlfriend apparently had a moral compass with a caffeine problem. By morning, Daniel's brother knew, Emily's sister knew, the mutual friends knew, and Daniel's mother called him at 8:17 a.m. This is where the consequences. Put on a nicer jacket and became family-wide. Daniel expected sympathy from his mother. He did not receive it. His mother asked, what is wrong with you? Not what happened. Not are you okay? Just the clean maternal scalpel. Daniel tried to explain that he felt lost. His mother said, then buy a journal. Don't humiliate your wife. A queen, a tired queen, perhaps. But a queen. Then she asked if Emily was safe. Daniel said yes. She was at her sister's. His mother said, good, leave her alone until she's ready. Daniel did not like that. Because people like Daniel do not want space when someone else asks for it. They want space only when they are the ones using it to shop around for alternate lives. So, he texted Emily, a lot. First, I'm sorry. Then, can we talk? Then, I hate that you're doing this. Then, you know I didn't cheat. Then, are you really throwing away 9 years over a post? And there it was, over a post. Not over betrayal. Not over humiliation. Not over his desire to test drive freedom while keeping her parked in the garage. Over a post. Emily finally replied around noon. It wasn't the post. It was the truth you put in it. That should have ended the conversation. It did not. Daniel asked if she was coming home. Emily said she would come by later to pick up more things. And she wanted him gone when she did. Daniel said that was unnecessary. Emily said, so was asking Reddit if you should leave me double quotes fair brutal efficient at 3 p.m. Daniel came home from work early, even though he had told her he would be gone. Because boundaries to Daniel were apparently decorative, Emily arrived with her sister, Claire. Claire was not there to negotiate. Claire had the face of a woman who had spent the morning reading screenshots and choosing peace only because prison is bad. Lighting. Daniel tried to talk, Claire said. No, Daniel said this was between him and his wife. Claire said, you made it between you and the internet yesterday, honestly. Give Claire a small trophy. Emily walked past him and packed more clothes, dog food, her work files, and a box of keepsakes from their bedroom closet. Daniel followed her from room to room, making emotional arguments like a man trying to return a used lawnmower without a receipt. He said they had history. Emily said yes. He said he loved her. Emily said, you love being loved by me. That one hit him because it was probably true. He loved the comfort, the house, the stability. The wife who remembered his dentist appointments and bought his mother birthday gifts and knew exactly how he liked his coffee. He loved being cared for. But loving a person requires seeing them as more than the furniture in your emotional living room. Daniel asked, do you really think I would have cheated? Emily stopped, turned around, and said, I think you wanted permission to. Silence. There are some sentences that do not need volume because they bring their own thunder. Daniel said he never touched anyone. Emily said, you were already reaching, Claire. From the hallway, whispered, damn, not helpful. But understandable. Emily left again, this time. She took the framed wedding photo from the hallway. Daniel thought maybe that was sentimental. Maybe she wanted to keep it because there was still hope. Then later, he found out she took it because it was in a frame her grandmother gave her. And she wanted the frame, not the photo, the frame. That is when a man should understand the temperature of the room. By evening, Daniel's friend group had split into the camps. Camp 1, you messed up badly. Apologize and give her space. Camp 2, marriage is hard. Maybe she should hear him out. Camp 2 was mostly men who described basic childcare as babysitting their own children. So, intellectual giants. Daniel went to stay with his friend Ryan that night because the empty house felt too depressing. The house he wanted. Freedom from. Funny how freedom gets quiet when nobody is there to fold the laundry. At Ryan's apartment, Daniel drank too much and complained that Emily was being cold. Ryan, to his credit, eventually said, dude, you posted about wanting other women. Daniel snapped, I didn't say I was going to do it. Ryan replied, you were asking for directions. Again, not everyone in this story was useless. Just the main character. The next morning, less than 24 hours after the original post, Daniel woke up to an email. From Emily. Subject line, next steps. Not I love you. Not can we fix this. Next steps. Inside, she wrote that she would be staying with Claire indefinitely. She wanted a trial separation. She would contact a lawyer to understand her options. She wanted no direct communication except about the dogs, the house, and finances. If he wanted to pursue counseling, he could do that individually first. Then came the line that apparently broke him. I am not interested in competing with an imaginary single life you invented because you got bored of being loved consistently. There it is. That is the whole body in one sentence. Daniel replied. Immediately. To fast. To emotionally. To Daniel. He wrote a long message saying she misunderstood him, that he had been confused, that everyone has doubts, that she was punishing him for honesty. Emily replied once, honesty would have been telling me. You told strangers and hid it from me. After that, she stopped responding. By lunchtime, Daniel had posted a final update on the same account before deleting it entirely. He wrote that his wife had left, that she was considering divorce, that he never meant for any of this to happen, and that he felt like one mistake had ruined his life. The comments were not gentle. One person wrote, it wasn't one mistake. It was a chain of choices, and every link was stupid. Another wrote, you wanted to know what was out there. Now, you're out there. Enjoy. And the top comment said, you didn't ruin your marriage in 24 hours. You revealed the rot in 24 hours. That is the part Daniel hated most because deep down, maybe he knew. This was not just about boredom. This was not just about Reddit. This was about a man who wanted the benefits of commitment without the weight of being committed. A man who wanted his wife to remain loyal while he wondered aloud whether loyalty was limiting his potential. A man who confused comfort with imprisonment and then acted shocked when the door opened. Emily did not file for divorce immediately. At least not according to Daniel's last update, but she did not come home. The dog stayed with her. The house stayed quiet, and Daniel, for the first time in years, got exactly what he claimed he wanted. Space. Freedom. No routine. No wife asking what he wanted for dinner. No dogs jumping on the bed from her side. No Emily reminding him to call his dad. No shared grocery list. No boring marriage. Just him, his phone, and the crushing discovery that freedom feels very different when nobody is waiting for you. A few weeks later, according to a small final comment he posted before vanishing, Emily agreed to meet him in a public place to talk. He arrived with flowers. She arrived with a folder. That should tell you everything. He tried to apologize. Really apologize this time. He said he had started therapy. He said he understood how selfish he had been. He said he didn't want other women. He wanted her. He wanted their life back. Emily listened, just like she had in the kitchen. Quiet. Calm. Done. Then she said, I believe you're sorry. I just don't think you're sorry enough to become someone I can trust again. He cried. She did too. Finally, and that almost makes it sad. Almost. But sadness does not erase consequences. Tears do not rewind humiliation. Regret does not unpublish the truth. Daniel asked if there was any chance. Emily said, maybe someday I'll forgive you, but I don't want to be married to someone who had to lose me to understand I mattered. And that was the end. No. Screaming. No dramatic restaurant scene. No thrown drink. Just a woman choosing peace after being treated like a backup plan. Daniel later admitted that the worst part was not even losing the marriage. It was realizing that Emily had not left because of one impulsive post. She left because the post showed her what he had already become, and honestly, that is the most painful kind of truth, the kind you do not discover through betrayal itself, but through the way someone explains betrayal before they even commit it. So, was Daniel the villain? Yes. Was Emily perfect? Probably not. Nobody is. Marriage is messy. People get tired. People get distant. People forget to flirt. People fall into routines so deep they need a map and a rescue team. But there is a massive difference between saying, we are struggling and I want to fix this, and saying, I wonder if I deserve better. Let me ask strangers before I tell my wife. One is a marriage problem. The other is a character problem, wearing a little paper hat that says self-discovery. And that brings us back to the question, when did this marriage actually end? Was it when Daniel made the post? When Emily found it? When he said he wanted to feel free? When he posted again instead of apologizing? Or was it already dying quietly every time he chose resentment over honesty? Because sometimes the final blow is not the thing that destroys the relationship. Sometimes it only turns the lights on so everyone can finally see the damage. And Daniel wanted excitement. He got it. He wanted freedom. He got that too. He wanted to know what else was out there. Well, now he knows. It was an empty house to missing dog bowls, a liar's folder, and the sound of his own consequences breathing in the dark. So what do you think? Did Emily leave too quickly? Did Daniel deserve a chance after humiliating her publicly? Or is this one of those rare cases where the trash didn't need to be taken out because it walked itself to the curb? Drop your judgment below, because this one looks simple at first, but the longer you stare at it, the more it smells like a man who confused boredom with oppression and lost the only person who made his life feel like home.